and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the Leo new moon that is taking place on the 8th of the month, and it is also the Lionsgate activating portal energy on that same day. So this is really potent and really powerful energy. So I will be reading my write-up for the astrology, which comes through in a kind of channeled way, but I get a lot of kind of information, so it's too much to just kind of remember, so I write it down. It's an intuitive report, basically intuitively done, about how I feel the energies are playing out at this time in the sky. So I have managed to get my lights. I've remembered to put batteries in. I haven't put any batteries in for so long, so my lights haven't been on for a long time. And the lighting seems to have sorted itself out a little bit better today as well. So that at least seems to be working in my favour. So I'm going to start the reading off with the Moonology cards for the Leo energy. And before I forget, also I am calling this reading Awakening Our Self-Empowerment. So first of all, we have the Leo energy itself, the Leo moon, new moon, and it is saying confidence is our key to success, which is very apt, more so at this time, I would say, because of the Lionsgate energy as well that is happening. New moon energy, of course, is a new beginning, a new start, time to create something new, plant a new seed on the new moon date. And the fixed moon energy, as Leo is a fixed sign, is again saying hold your vision, stay true to something, stay true to yourself. But also it's asking, are you being stubborn as well? Because there is an element of that with the fixed signs, and because we've got so much fixed energy at this time, there could be elements of just digging our heels in and not wanting to budge, which could actually work in our favour as well. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So as usual, the divine masculine sun energy conjuncts the divine feminine moon energy during the time of a new moon. And this new moon is taking place in the fixed 5th house of fun, our creative self-expression, where we find our joy, our playful nature, as well as our fiery, passionate, courageous drive in the sign ruled by Leo, which is the home of the sun itself, which literally rules our hearts. So this powerful new moon is happening on the 8th of August, which also happens to coincide with the 8/8 Lionsgate portal activation. More of that later. And the moon will be new at exactly 14:50 hours UK time. It will be different elsewhere in the world. And it will be at 16 degrees and 14 minutes of Leo. So if you have any planets or points between the 11 to 21 degrees of Leo, you will be feeling this intense energy. Also, as we have planets in the other two fixed energies of both Aquarius and Taurus, this will also be affecting Aquarius and Taurus as well, quite strongly. Again, particularly if you have anything between those points of 11 to 21 degrees, as we've got Uranus and Saturn, who again are both connecting with the sun and the moon at this time. So the same degrees of 11 to 21 in those signs will be feeling it, as will Scorpios. as this sign is also being activated by the part of fortune at 17 degrees 12 minutes, which also falls on the ascendant during a new moon. So the ascendant, the part of fortune, sorry, is always on the ascendant during the time of a new moon. So during the time of a full moon, the part of the ascendant will fall on the descendant. Now I just quickly want to give you a quick rundown as to what it says in the Black Moon astrology cards for the part of fortune, which is this symbol here. So if you see that in an astrology chart, if you see that in your own astrological chart, that's what that is talking about. And so it says, in early mythology, Fortuna was the daughter of Jupiter, the god of good luck. She is the Roman goddess of destiny and bounty. Her name in Latin is Fair and means she who brings forth. F-E-R-R-E. I'm not exactly certain how you say it, but so the part of fortune is just one of the lots among several used in astrology. However, it is considered the most important one. Lots are also known as Arabic parts. They come from Arabic astrology. And of course it was the Arabs who were very much aware of astrology and used astrology for everything. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, Western astrology picked up the Arabian and Persian practice of reading lots in a horoscope. So the part of fortune is known also as moon energy, which means the talents and gifts it endows upon an individual are both nascent and unconscious. It is as if its powers are waiting beneath the surface of water, and when that water is stirred by action or thought, those talents and gifts emerge, which is interesting because it is actually in Scorpio. So it is like in the depths of our subconscious, and it's like our subconscious is being, being activated, I suppose. It is being kind of brought to the surface at this time. So so we actually have all the fixed signs being activated because of the part of fortune and the ascendant being in Scorpio. Which means with all this fixed energy, it's a very dominant in our psyche, which is giving us strong will, determination, tenacity to see things through. And though, as I was also saying earlier, this could also become stubbornness or refusal, but maybe at this time that isn't such a bad thing. That may actually be exactly what we need at this time, is to be fixed, to be stubborn, and to stick with what we know is right for ourselves, hence the kind of awakening of the self-empowerment as well. The new moon energy will be taking place on an individual level, wherever these degrees of Leo are for you in your own personal chart, personal natal chart. So wherever those 16 degrees point of Leo falls is going to be where the energy, the house it falls into, will be where this energy will show itself most strongly. But as a collective, again, it's going to be taking place in the 5th house. So the new moon is a time when she's hidden in the light of the sun, and for us the moon is dark and unseen, bringing in more of a reflective, inward-looking energy. It is also a time when she is just about to begin to grow again. And just like a seed needs to be planted in the dark of the soil, so too do we need to plant the seeds of our new beginnings within the depth of our emotional garden. This is a particularly powerful new moon to do this, to set an intention for what it is you would like to manifest, as this is a very potent time for planting a seed for the future in the 5th house energy of our joys, pleasures, creative endeavours, being seen, fame and being in the spotlight. And I will also add again that this is because of the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, which has been opening up really since about the 26th of July. And it will continue through until about the 12th. So you're probably already feeling this energy coming through. It's kind of coming through waves or surges of energy. You may suddenly get like this sudden like kind of feeling, and that is really what it is. It's this bombardment of energy, of light energy onto our planet at the moment. But again, I will speak more about that in a bit. So just as a warning, if you are feeling that energy, if you're feeling like all of a sudden you get these kind of waves of like intensity, that's what it's about. So just breathe, just try and breathe through it and fill your heart up, fill your body up with as much light as you can bring it in, because that's what's going on at this time. So this is a time for firing up our courageous heart energy to help with the expression of our personal identity, which may have taken a bit of a battering with the Saturn Sun opposition at 10 degrees and 11 on the 2nd of August when they became exact. So we may have found ourselves being blocked and restricted, or having to face authority in one form or another. From the last week in July up to this new moon, Saturn, being a malefic, is a bit of a killjoy and a dampener to our festive feelings and wanting to celebrate the sun's optimism expression of life, or optimistic expression of life. So leading up to this time, we have felt like we are dealing with extreme constrictions on our self-will and self-empowerment. The month of August is really going to see things pick up and accelerate, especially after this new moon energy takes place and the 8-8 gate happens as well. So we have an emphasis on Aquarian and Uranian energy. Sparks could be seen to fly, as we are during the time of this new moon experiencing a T-square with both the Sun and Moon in an opposition to Saturn at 9 degrees 42 minutes. So that opposition with Saturn that has been restricting and blocking is still here during this new moon energy. And all three of them, Sun, Moon and Saturn, are square to Uranus in Taurus, which is slowing right down and preparing himself to station retrograde on the 20th of the month as well. So this is also adding to the intensity of this new moon in Leo. Aquarian, Uranian extremism, during which time we will see more upheavals of the earth. And extremism is a word that we are going to hear quite a lot of at this time because of this extreme intense energy. So we will see more upheavals of the earth, which could include earthquakes, volcanoes, fires, which we're already seeing happening, along with more people being evacuated from their homes due to flooding and major storms, some of which could also see a higher degree of lightning or plasma lightning bolts, because again that's very Uranian energy. So we will also experience similar energy within both the political and financial spectrum, as well as more protests on the streets and people demanding change. There will be ongoing and continuing pushing back from the people against the establishment regimes. Both the Sun and the Moon are conjunct Mercury at 23 degrees 39. So Mercury is also a part of this T-square energy that is taking place as well. So we have Sun, Moon, Mercury squaring Uranus and also opposing Saturn. And Mercury on the first day of the month has just Kazimi'd over the heart of the divine intelligence and the giver of life to all sentient beings, our Sun. Mercury has once again been through a baptism of fire. He is now purified, cleansed, detoxed and reborn. Symbolically, this represents the clearing of the mind of all clutter, for us to perceive and become aware with a moment of absolute clarity. So on the 1st of the month, it was like our minds were being cleared out, decluttered, cleansed, because there's so much information, there's so much disinformation, it's just constant bombardment. And whenever Mercury Kazim is over the sun, it is like he is going through this cleansing, this purification, which relates to our mind, our thinking, our way of looking at the world. So this alignment has been exact at 9 degrees 33 of Leo, while both Mercury and the Sun oppose Saturn. Here we are being asked to face our fear of not being able to express ourselves authentically, after years of suppression and self-doubt over who we are and what we are able to achieve. This alignment with Saturn has been showing us the restrictions and blockages that we have allowed to be placed in our paths for the true happiness we seek within our inner creative being. This transit is also taking place while both sides square Uranus, meaning breakthroughs in our thinking patterns and the ability to break free from the Saturn limiting box are very likely scenarios around this first week of August. Again, because our minds have been cleared of all that kind of stagnant old ways of thinking and looking and perceiving the world, we're now kind of being given a new way of, because of the Uranus energy as well, which is very much the higher consciousness, the higher thinking, the higher realms, the mind, the universal consciousness really is kind of taking us up and elevating us into new ways of understanding, particularly as Saturn is in Aquarius as well. So it's almost like Saturn is trying to block that Aquarian energy. Again, Saturn squaring Uranus, Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius. So it really is kind of like this Aquarian energy is really trying to come through at this time as we move more into the Aquarian energy itself. And Saturn is still sitting there kind of saying, not yet, not ready, not time. But by doing so, it is making us kind of push back against it. It's pushing our limitations to actually do something about it, rather than just sitting back and accepting it. It's like, well, no, actually. So the Uranus breakthroughs are very likely scenarios. Mercury will have squared Uranus on the 3rd, during which time we could hear some shocking and unexpected news via the more authentic alternative media sources, which, if you have been paying any attention to any alternative media sources, you will know there has been some real shockers, some real out of the blue revelations about certain things that are going on in the world, mostly to do with the US, but not everything to do with the US. There are also some in the UK as well. So it is worth looking through alternative media sites, because they are, again, that more Aquarian energy, the alternative way of looking at things, a little bit different, a little bit more kind of like they're not establishment. So, and Uranus and Aquarius are not establishment type of energies. So that's going to be followed by the Sun squaring, or has been followed by the Sun squaring to Uranus on the 6th as well. So the Sun is actually going to kind of shine that light on like the spotlight on the news that Mercury divulges. So it's like all of that coming together. The sun is kind of really going to activate it and bring it out much more into the conscious awareness, as they both continue to be conjunct over this period of time and during this new moon as well. So during this new moon, we will be feeling the activation of all 4 fixed signs, especially as we have 3 of our personal inner planets in Leo. 1 outer planet in the sign of our values, our physical body, and the symbolic garden of Eden, Taurus, basically relates to the earth itself. So we also have 2 outer planets in the futuristic, humanitarian, collective energy of Aquarius, Jupiter and Saturn, which means we have 6 planets in total in fixed energy. So this T-square between the 6 is creating a lot of tension at this time, as well as a lot of determination, strong will, strong self-will, and a stubborn force to break out and break free from the restrictive ideas and opinions of other people's views. So that's really what Saturn is about as well. Saturn is about the old, the established, the other people's ingrained way of looking at things, a traditional way of doing things. And Uranus is saying it's time to kind of kick all that to the curb and really allow this new energy in. But there is also an interesting dynamic going on between that as well, because Saturn is another ruler of Aquarius. So we do have the lower level energies of Aquarius, which is the Saturn energies, which are also coming through at this time. And the Saturn lower level energies, the denser level energies of Saturn, Aquarius energy, is the hive mind kind of way of thinking about things, kind of trying to get everybody to conform. Everybody must do this, everybody must behave in the same way. Whereas the Uranus energy, again, is kind of saying, no, you're an individual, be yourself, don't conform, don't, like Uranus is the maverick, it's the rebel, it's the genius that thinks outside the box, which you can't do if everybody's made or forced to think in the same way. So when the sun is in Leo, we want to shine. We want to express the joys of living and show our appreciation and gratitude for the world we live in. Leo energy is not a time for backing down. It is a time when we connect with our courageous heart energy and bring our creative visions out to play. This month will be a time of strong and powerful awakenings. Human rights will be at the forefront, as will be the forceful desire for freedom, liberation and truth on all levels. Mercury is speeding along now. He will leave Leo and enter Virgo on the 11th of August, only 3 days after this new moon. He will, however, be even more speedy through Virgo, barely giving it a second thought, as by the 30th of the month he will have entered into Libra, soon to go retrograde. The fast movement of Mercury is going to be adding to the extra quick, accelerating energy of the collapse within the 3D society we inhabit, as everything will literally appear to have sped up around us. So as this Uranian Aquarian energy really kicks in and everything kind of starts to kind of fall apart and dissolve and kind of not be as it has been and what we've been used to, this Mercury energy, because it's moving so quickly, it's like time is going to shift. It's just going to seem as though everything is happening really fast, because Mercury is the mind. So it's going to be almost like, you know, one moment we're here and then we're here kind of thing. And what happens in between is kind of like just a blink of an eye. So while he is in Virgo, however, which is one of Mercury's home signs, which again is another reason why it will seem ultra quick, he will be helping us to tie up the loose ends around things that have been ongoing for a long time, things that we haven't been able to finalize. It's like finally Virgo is kind of saying, right now, this is the time to kind of prioritize and focus on this and make this happen. So it will give us much needed focus and the finer details especially. But it will be done in a very practical, down-to-earth fashion, because Virgo is an earth sign. And it will be showing us what we need to prioritise, what is important, what it is that we are needing to be aware of and very discerning about at this time as well. So all the energies that may have been scattered elsewhere as well, having gone through, like Mercury, having gone through Cancer and through, sorry, the retrograde in Gemini, into Cancer, through Leo, and now into Virgo. It's like a lot of scattered energy. Sorry, just get a quick drink. And so all those energies that may have been scattered elsewhere, our mind kind of all over the place because of all the information we've been taking in, will become much more precision and laser-like, directed at the task in hand. So we will be much more focused than we have been for some time. Again, that's probably also got something to do with the fact that Mercury has just Cazimi'd over the Sun. So Jupiter has just retrograded back into the sign of Aquarius and is now to be found at 28 degrees 42 minutes of Jupiter, the planet of magnification, is going to bring an energy of expansive, expansive new ideas and ways of expressing ourselves, as he is in opposition with Mercury. Who is playing quite a major role during this period of time. So basically, Jupiter expands whatever it is that he connects with, he expands that energy. So he's opposing Mercury, so there's this kind of backwards and forwards between the two energies. And so again, he's going to be helping with that Virgo energy of kind of like precision and detail and really kind of looking at it in a much more broader sense, but at the same time kind of homing in on what is really important here. Mercury is playing quite a major role during this period of time. He is also quincunx two of the outer planets, Neptune and Pluto. So we could also see and hear about the world of quantum physics quite a lot at this time through the mainstream news, as Jupiter will also have us pushing against our boundaries of how things are believed to be. This could be especially so in the realms of all the sciences, as Jupiter wants us to learn and grow through the wisdom and knowledge of higher truth. In Aquarius, we could also feel shockwaves from this Jupiter energy, which could affect power outages, the internet, satellite systems, and cyber attacks. So we could have failing satellite systems because this energy, again, this Uranus energy, Jupiter in Aquarius is in that Uranus kind of electrifying, shocking energy. So this disruptive energy, so I just lost my place completely there. Don't know how that happened. So yeah, where are we? This disruptive energy is, it's coming from way beyond our solar system, well, way further out in our solar system, should we say. So it's coming out further than Saturn, way past Saturn. And Saturn is the ruler of our third or 3D world, should I say. It's the 3D world which we have manifested around us so far, that we have grown and kind of have ingrained into us as being truth. This is how it is, this is how it's always been, and this is how it always will be type of energy. But because we have this energy coming from further out in the solar system, which is kind of bombarding our 3D realm at the time, it is literally changing all of the 3D realm, the way that we look at it, the way that we understand it. Because it's in Aquarius, it's going to take us into those more quantum ideas of how the 3D world actually is, as in it not being an actual solid form, but everything again coming back to vibration and frequency. So the backwards and forwards energy of this Mercury and Jupiter opposition is creating a tension between the Leo energy of our self-expression and the Aquarian energy that can be cold, detached, and have a hive-like mind way of viewing the world. Almost robotic or insect-like. Again, it's that Saturn energy that I was also talking about, that lower, denser Saturn energy that this Uranian energy is in battle with at this time. A square is always a challenge, it's always a battle. Who's going to come out on top? So there is something almost like quite cold, quite detached, quite unhumanitarian about this energy as well at the same time. Again, that kind of everybody must conform, everybody must kind of be assimilated kind of thing. And I may kind of laugh at that. There is an element of truth behind that statement. So again, if you don't know what's going on out there in the bigger world, I would suggest that you go and do some research, because there's a lot of things happening that people are totally oblivious to at this time. And so yeah, it's kind of a foreign, alien idea, which goes against the idea of being caring and a human being and compassionate and loving towards each other. So this new moon is reminding us to return to that Leo warmth, love, passion, heart energy, and to integrate it into the collective humanity connection at a heart level. And the heart is really big at this time, Leo being the ruler of the heart, the sun energy, and also because of the 8-8 portal as well. So Jupiter is the planet of optimism, expansion, good luck and great fortune, and he's pushing Mercury to communicate with openness, honesty, and a strong desire to reveal the truth. Once again, this Aquarian Uranian energy will be seen as electrifying, causing shockwaves and awakening the voices of the collective, which it is no longer possible to hold back. For some, this could be revelations around the narratives they have trusted all their lives. Again, that's Saturn energy. Many people are about to be knocked out of their conditioned and repetitive way of thinking and viewing their environment, the world, and even the universe itself. How this is coming through, it's like a needle on an old style record player that has just been playing the same song over and over, like an old favourite, or an album that someone has bought for that track alone. This has caused the groove in the record to become very ingrained and deeper, fixed only on that one song. The rest of the album has never been listened to. This time, however, something knocks the needle out of that ingrained track and onto a completely different, never heard piece of music that suddenly and unexpectedly totally shifts all the attention away from the previous track. In doing so, it adds and expands to the understanding of what the album has actually been about, broadening the potential for being open enough to listen to more of the album, thereby completely changing and shifting how it has been related to up to that point, as it brings in another level of what is being communicated. So that was how it was shown to me, or given to me, as a picture of like this record that has just had the same song being played on it for a very long time, but now it's like the energy is being shifted out of that groove and into something new and unheard, like a different symphony, a different frequency again, a different energy. So both Mars and Venus are in Virgo, and Mars is at 06 degrees 06 minutes. He represents our willpower, ego, and drive for action. And he's in the sign of perfectionism, fastidiousness, and a lot of over-analysing and getting into all the details, which can also help with his strategizing and planning skills. Mars, however, wants to get things done as quickly and impulsively as he can in order to get out onto the battlefield. Mars is our drive, it's our passion, it's our let's get things done, it's action. And in some ways, to Mars, the masculine warrior energy, everything is a battle. It doesn't matter whether it's kind of putting a tent up when you're camping, it's like you versus the tent in a way. It's that kind of like action orientated but with purpose. So Mars wants to get things done as quickly and impulsively as he can in order to get onto the battlefield. Virgo, however, wants to check and triple check that everything will be smooth running, like clockwork. Nothing missed that has the potential to mess things up. So at times we could be feeling touches of frustration over the things we are overthinking, or things we think we should already have done or learnt, or have more information about in order to take action on. Mars is also, during this new moon, making some interesting and powerful connections with two energies in Gemini, Black Moon Lilith and the North Node, who are also both beginning to become conjunct. Mars is creating a T-square with them all, as this includes the South Node in Sagittarius. So on the 1st of August, same date as Mercury cazimid the Sun, Mars also was exact in a square with the energy known as Black Moon Lilith, which corresponds with the shadow, darker, cruel, manipulative, wilder, sexual, taboo side of our emotional nature. She is the point of the dark side of the moon when it is at apogee, which means when it's furthest away from the earth. So it's that unknown energy. It's the side of the moon, the point of the side of the moon that we never get to see. So it's hidden, it's secretive, it's mysterious. And it's symbolic of all the things that go on in the shadows, away from the glare of those who would disapprove. So Mars has just activated this energy. And as a fire sign himself, Mars also has connections to strong sexual, lustful urges and impulses, which Black Moon Lilith in Gemini may feel the need to express and communicate information to us through the media. Those things of a seedier nature that are needing to be exposed. So at this time, again, we could be hearing things through the media, or things could try to be repressed, which will eventually come out, about the sexual urges of people in power, mostly, again because Mars is a power planet as well. It's one of the two, like Pluto and Mars are both kind of power planets, and they both also connect with fear as well because of the power element, because they can be overpowering energies and they can bring up fear in others because of that. So So again, it's that Black Moon Lilith energy. Black Moon Lilith is going to connect very soon with the North Node, and that is really going to, I think, highlight a lot of what has been hidden in the dark. And again, it will be meeting in Gemini, and Gemini is communication, it's information, it's data. So a lot of things are going to come out. And because Mars has just activated that energy as well, it is really going to bring it even more into the forefront. So this could also bring out a lot of anger and rage at the situations as things build up and move into the light, especially when Black Moon Lilith and the North Node become exact later in September, which I think I have mentioned previously. The 7th of September is an interesting time. It's a time when we have the new moon in Virgo, and it's a date to keep in your diary, I think. As there will be nowhere to hide, during which time they are both trying to Saturn in Aquarius and Mercury in Libra. So when Black Moon Lilith and the North Node do come together, there is going to be, they are both going to be trining Saturn in Aquarius, which is also, Aquarius is also about information, higher information, getting information out, new information, but also Mercury in Libra as well. Again, more air energy, so again, more information, more communication, more talking. And in Libra, Libra wants justice, it wants fairness, it wants things to be right, just. So that is an interesting combination in itself. But again, that's not going to happen until September. So Mars is also in a T-square with both the North Node, bringing in more Gemini energy, and the South Node in Sagittarius. The nodes are our destiny, our karmic story, where we are heading, which is the North Node, and what we need to leave behind, which is the South Node. Mars in Virgo could bring up that fearful and more worrying side of our nature, feeling that we need to move forward, and yet at the same time hesitant and nervous about leaving what is familiar and therefore comforting. It is a time to move out of that comfort zone and fully embrace the future. So Venus is at 20 degrees 58 or 21 degrees, also in Virgo. And she is trining and adding to the energy of Uranus, making us feel the desire to create change, and for some possibly space on an energetic level, in order to allow something we have never experienced before to enter our lives. This is especially so within the realm of our relationships, our value systems and financial dealings, which could also bring major changes occurring within the banking world itself. For some, the desire may become strong to break away from something that now feels outdated and past its best. New relationships with a quirky edge could arise for some, or a new idea could come out of nowhere, which will completely change the path and direction you thought you were set on. Old and established routines could be completely thrown out the window for something much more alternative and unconventional in its nature. While Venus is in this transit, she will also be in opposition to her higher octave of love and compassion, Neptune, retrograde at 22 degrees 42 minutes. Something is being revealed from behind the veil of our preconceived values around our idea of health, both physically and mentally, and what it truly means to us, and have we prioritised its importance enough, which is going to be leaving us with feelings of disillusionment, discontentment and confusion concerning those we have placed our trust in. particularly if we are not careful enough to not be gullible and get sucked into deceptive ideas from predatory people at this time. This is not a good time to be overgiving of ourselves, as we could find ourselves drained of energy and resources, especially in matters of relationships, finance and our general well-being, as we may be called to make sacrifices for the benefit of our higher selves. Another thing with the 12th house energy as well is letting go of things that no longer work for us, letting go of old, again, preconceived ideas or things that we've been trying for a long time that may no longer actually work, or they never did actually work in the first place, but we just carried on doing the same thing over and over again because we were convinced that it was what was right for us or good for us. It could have us looking at our health issues, diet possibly, what we consume, why we consume it, is it good for us, our health in general, as well as, I would also say, the medical regime as well, as I like to call it, that is out there at this time as well. This could also be a time when Venus is kind of trying to really make us aware of the importance of our physical bodies. And what we put into it. Our body is a temple, seeing our body as a temple. But also that Neptunian energy as well of trusting our inner knowing, trusting our intuition, trusting what we feel is right for us. So this is particularly true because we have Neptune still sextile to a retrograde Pluto. We are having to learn to let go and release all the fears we hold when it comes to trusting our inner knowing and the divine source connection we are, in order for us to level up through this very long transformational and evolutionary cycle to be able to move forward. Something is changing when it comes to our level of awareness and belief that death is the final ending. It almost feels like a deception is ending when it comes to the understanding of impermanence. As the veil is lifting and our higher consciousness is expanding, we are going to begin realizing that the fear and conditioning around this area of life has kept us in this illusionary, fear-based mindset, when it is merely a shift in our energetic frequency from the denseness of 3D corporeal form into light being bodies of non-corporeal form. Now, as we move through this photon belt area of the universe, our bodies and the planet we live on are absorbing more of this pure light energy, which is affecting us all at a deep DNA cellular level. This light is not coming directly from our sun, as the sun itself has changed colour from golden yellow, which it used to be, to white light. And I think I spoke about this last time, that the light that I saw, I've actually seen that light coming down. And interestingly, there was another astrologer who I watch who's very good, and she was saying that she could see this light as well, and she actually said that it had transformed from golden yellow, which it was when she first saw it, which it was when I first saw it as well. The first time I saw it was back in about 2006, and I remember seeing it as like a golden mist. It was just like this mist. But then when I was really young as a child, I used to be able to see lights, like dancing lights in the dark, in a black room. I could see like these dancing lights, which I presume now was also photon light energy. I had no idea at the time what it was. But it has shifted, and the sun itself has also shifted, which a lot of people have recognised, that the sun is no longer that kind of golden yellow colour that it used to be about 30, 40 years ago. It's kind of moved into this much more whiter light. So in 1962, astronomers discovered that our solar system orbits around another star called Alcyon, also called the Great Central Star, which is part of the Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters. They also discovered at that time an even bigger find of what is now known as the photon belt, which orbits this system, and which, according to astronomical calculations, our solar system passes through twice in its roughly 26,000 journey of the zodiacal clock around this great central star Alcyon. So photons are the smallest light particles in quantum physics, and at this time we are being bombarded with them at a higher density than usual, as they are playing a massive role in the shift of frequency. And they go through everything. They don't hit something and stop, they just keep travelling through it. They just go through and go out the other side and probably just kind of carry on somewhere into the universe or back into the photon belt. I really don't know, but they don't get stopped by the physical realm. Our physical realm doesn't stop them. They are passing through us all the time, and they have been ever since, I suppose, ever since we first became part of this kind of photon belt area, which apparently, according to astronomers, not astrologers, astronomers, it takes like 26,000 years to go round this complete zodiacal cycle. And so we go through it at certain points, and one of them is the Aquarius age, and the other apparently is the age of Leo as well. And the rest of it, we are outside of this photon energy, and it's when we go through this photon energy that our consciousness rises up. So it's like we're spiraling upward, but as we go through and come out the other side, it's like slowly we get into this kind of more fixed or denser way of understanding the world again, or at least that's kind of how I understand it, until we go back through this kind of photon energy again, and once more kind of our consciousness is raised up. It could also have something to do with the shift of literally like shift of our physical bodies, because if you look back through history, there are different kind of changes of the human race itself as well. The different forms could also have something to do with that as well. Again, I don't know, because I've not really looked into that side of it, so I'm just kind of presuming. So this particular Neptune and Pluto cycle that we're in at this time is very interesting, and I kind of got taken down this path, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And it started back in 1891. This is kind of where my guides led me to this particular time, so it's obviously of relevance. So it started back in 1891-93 with a conjunction at 08 degrees 36 in Gemini, while they were in a sextile with a conjunct Chiron at 8 degrees and the Sun at 9 degrees. And it was during the time of the Industrial Revolution, and saw the birth of psychoanalysis. And what also came about during this time was the dive into the realm of quantum physics, the chaos theory and relativity. So that's really interesting, that at the very beginning of this was when quantum physics suddenly became part of our awareness, and it's kind of escalating as we go more and more through this Neptune and Pluto cycle as well. So in 1916 to 17, they came together in a semi-sextile while the world was deeply involved in World War I. Pluto was retrograde in early Cancer, and I have also done a video talking about the Cancer energy in Pluto energy, sorry, in Cancer, during which time we had a lot of squaring energy with Uranus in Aries at that time as well. which really kind of saw a major shift of the feminine energy as well, the role of the female during that whole time of Cancer moving into, sorry, of Pluto moving into Cancer. So so while that retrograde in early Cancer, Neptune was also retrograde in the early degrees of Leo. So that was their semi-sextile. Following that was the semi-square in 1930 to 32, which saw the Great Depression and the rise of fascism across Europe, which we're kind of having connotations with all this energy at this time again, which is possibly why my guides or my guides want me to kind of talk about this at this time as well, because we are seeing very similar kind of energies around this time. And Pluto was at that time in later Cancer, so Pluto was still in Cancer, and Neptune by that time had moved into Virgo. Again, the female energy, Virgo connecting to the earth as well, the kind of mother goddess energy. So this was followed by the first sextile, which started moving in from 1940. And it became exact in 1950 to 55. And it was at 17 degrees, with Pluto now in Leo. Which is really interesting, because that is where, more or less, this is taking place at 16 degrees, 14 minutes, this new moon, and the gateway always is at that same point as well. Over that kind of 17 degrees area, shall we say. So, so Pluto had moved into Leo and Neptune was in Libra at that time. The second sextile run from 1976 to 1984, by which time Pluto had moved into Libra and Neptune was now in Sagittarius. The sextile we are now in, with Pluto in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, began back on the 22nd of June in 2018. Pluto was at 20 degrees 29 retrograde, and Neptune was also retrograde at 16 degrees 29. That's an interesting degree there for Pluto as well, because that was also more or less the degree it was conjunct, the conjunction between Saturn and Pluto that took place in 2020 as well. So that was also kind of building up that energy. So this particular sextile is helping us to see through the lies, deceit and illusionary webs that have been created around the ideas of trusting those in positions of power, which includes all establishment bodies such as monarchies, aristocratic families, corporations, governments and all bodies which branch off of it, i.e. those who hold positions of civic duty, including health professionals, teachers, policy enforcers, all court systems, as well as those we have been taught to entrust our spiritual faith-based religious well-being to. As this veil is lifting with Neptune going through Pisces, we are seeing the flaws and the overarching power grabs of those who have elevated themselves in their ivory towers above the rest of humanity. Pluto in Capricorn, however, is the machinery which is digging down deep to the very foundation of these towers in order to bring them back down to earth with an almighty crash. This is all part of the awakening consciousness as we shift away from the Piscean age and more of the Aquarian Uranian energy enters into our psyche. And also the Aquarian age is of course about the collective, so it's about all of us kind of coming together to defeat this more establishment, shall we say, energy. So this sextile between the two has been on and off over extended periods of time since it began in 2018. The current part of this transit began again back in May 2021, and it will end in the first week of November. They have not, however, become exact during the whole period of time that Pluto has been in Capricorn, nor will they do so, as Pluto moves into the sign of Aquarius in March of 2023. He does, however, station retrograde in early May, during which time the continuing on-off sextile continues. So this feels like a slow erosion of power over an extended period of time, bearing in mind this began back in 1891 with a conjunction in Gemini. Almost like the 12th house energy of Neptune has been teaching us to discover where it is we have become disconnected from our own inner guidance, and have instead handed it over to those who have accumulated power from our weaknesses and feelings of victimhood. It also feels as well like that slow erosion, as I was saying. It's like, you know, the waves lapping at that tower, which kind of finally is going to bring it down. It's like that slow, gradual working at something slowly, bit by bit. So as it's kind of being built up, at the same time there's something kind of bringing it down, but it kind of isn't aware of that energy. It's kind of how it feels. So Neptune and Pluto will finally come together in an exact sextile in July 2026 at 4 degrees and 20 minutes. Pluto in the sign of Aquarius and Neptune having now entered Aries. Again, this sextile will continue on and off right through to 2032, during which time many things will have shifted on a 3D level of existence. So although it seems maybe quite kind of insignificant, it kind of feels like a bigger energy that is in play in the background here of changing things, shifting things. And of course, Neptune being in Pisces, it's in its home sign at the time when we are shifting out of the Piscean age and into the Aquarian age, is also a very interesting part of this energy as well. So another long-term interesting transit at this time is the ongoing T-square between Eris, the goddess of discord, disharmony and general chaotic energy of the female warrioress in Aries at 24 degrees 45 minutes retrograde. She is opposing Haumea at 26 degrees 58, the Hawaiian creation goddess who was forever renewing herself, which is symbolic of the life force energy itself that is eternal by its nature. So this is kind of that rebirthing earth energy as well. And both of these goddesses are in squares with Pluto at 25 degrees 3 minutes at this time. And Capricorn, the lord of the underworld, is deep transformational and evolutionary change. And he is in fact the release point of this shifting, rebirthing energy we are experiencing in the present moment, as we see more and more changes happen within the physical domain of the planet we inhabit. So the Eris energy, which is very similar in some ways to the Uranus energy, she is the female kind of Uranus, rebellious, strife energy. She has been in a square with Pluto for quite some time on and off, and all last year her and Pluto had 3 major exact squares as well, which is all added to what is taking place now. And again, it's that kind of background energy. It's kind of energy that is happening in the background that we're not so aware of. Longer lasting energy, because Eris is so slow moving. Pluto is so slow moving, and Haumea is also a slow moving energy as well. And interestingly, it was Eris who, when discovered, she knocked Pluto off of his throne and caused his downfall in the eyes of the Astronomical Society, which kind of caused him to no longer be considered as a planet, because Eris is in fact actually larger than Pluto as well. So all of this is kind of adding, and that Pluto energy in Capricorn, the establishment energy, is Pluto is literally kind of bringing all of that down. It's like, if you think of a, I don't know, like one of those burrowing machines that kind of goes deep into the earth, one of those huge burrowing machines. That's exactly what Pluto is like, you know, where you've kind of seen those underground tunnels that have been made. It's like, that is Pluto. Pluto does the same thing. It burrows deep down into the underground, into the very foundations of establishment, to bring it all down again. Ending of empires is due to Pluto. So, as previously mentioned, this new moon in Leo just happens to coincide with the 8-8 Lions Gateway, which has a historical background and is not just a random new age idea made up just because of the date. The importance of this date is due to the alignment of our Sun with the star Sirius, that the ancient Egyptians were well aware of. Sirius is twice the size of our Sun and 26 times brighter. And it is believed to be, by ancient mystery schools, the sun which powers our sun. So this alignment always takes place exact on the 8th of the 8th, which is a time of the earth being flooded by the light from what the ancients also believed was our spiritual sun. So they believed that Sirius was our spiritual sun. Our sun is our physical sun. It's what gives us our life, our physical form in many ways, our vitality, our expression, our self-expression, self-identity is all to do with the sun. But our spirituality is believed to come from some higher energy, which affects our own sun as well, because everything is connected within the universe. There is nothing that is disconnected. Again, that's a very kind of quantum physics way of looking at the world, which is going to become much more known over the next few years. So the Egyptians also believed that Sirius was the most important star in our sky. It's also the brightest star in our sky. And the Egyptians based their whole astronomical and religious system upon it. Sirius is found in the Canis Major constellation, hence why it is also known as the dog star. And it's also connected to the Dogon tribe as well, an African tribe who are said to have known about Sirius for centuries, like eons of time. And they have pictures of it carved on stones, on rocks and things, going way, way back, thousands of years back. And they also believed that they, the Dogon tribe, came here originally from Sirius, or they were brought here from the planet, from the star Sirius. So that's another interesting kind of side to this story as well. So the dog star, or Sirius, also annually for the Egyptians heralded the coming of the hot days of July and August, which also we call the dog days as well. And this also included the very important flooding of the River Nile, which of course was how they managed to grow their crops and stay alive and basically everything was based around the River Nile, and the River Nile and Sirius seem to have this kind of connection, because when Sirius arose over the horizon, the River Nile was due to flood. So it is also, Sirius is also for that reason associated with abundance, fertility and harvest. So this is an incredibly powerful and potent new moon, made especially so because of the association of Leo as a heart energy with everything that is going on in the world right now. The sky is saying it is time to open up our heart chakras and let in this divine source of light, which is also here to clear out the dross, stagnant, stuck and limiting parts of ourselves and move on to new pathways, new timelines. As this light is here to activate our DNA and bring us into higher states of vibrational frequency. The Egyptians were well aware that light was information encoded for manifestation through our light bodies, awakening our divine consciousness and returning us to a purer form of love. In Leo, this love is coming through for each and every one of us as a source of self-love, which we may feel resonating out from our solar plexus, the golden yellow chakra. This chakra relates to our personal power, how we express our will, and how we manifest our personal dreams and desires in the real world. It is about our self-confidence, self-assurance, self-discipline, and our independence. This is not in a selfish way, but so as to remind us that love does not come from us. Love comes through us. And in loving ourselves, we know our value and self-worth. Leo is, after all, known as the sign of royalty. Spiritually, we need to learn to love ourselves as gateways of an open and accepting heart connection of this divine love source of light. We may also feel and become aware of this energy as surges through the heart chakra, as this is breaking through into parts of our heart energy which has been blocked and damaged by past events. Some coming from this lifetime, but also those we have carried through from previous lifetimes, and in some cases have recreated for ourselves so as to understand a deeper lesson of self-love and self-worth. So the Sabian symbol for the 16-degree point of Leo is, and I absolutely love this, when I found this out I was just like, oh wow, that is just amazing. So the 16-degree of Leo is the storm ended. All nature rejoices in brilliant sunshine. And the keynote is the surge of life and love after a major crisis, which is just amazing. So the symbol speaks clearly for itself. How brilliant the light after the long night of the soul, which I've also spoken about in previous astrology reports too. The battered but unconquered consciousness finds itself exalted in the marriage of sunbeams and rising sap. This indeed is release, light and life, singing in the cleansed and refreshed mind, flooded for a while by the waters of feeling. This is the first stage in the 28th fivefold sequence. It is a sequence that reveals consciousness at its most inspiring moments of enjoyment. But these peak experiences can operate at several levels. The first and most basic level is that of life itself and of the overcoming of its many crises. The joy and power of new beginnings. And I will link this to the video when I put the video out, and there is a link for the Sabian symbols for anybody who wants to go and check out these Sabian symbols for themselves. They are very interesting, and they were all channeled by a clairvoyant, I believe she was, and they are often very, very appropriate for the degree and what is actually taking place when it comes to the kind of energies of the moons, I find as well. So that is where I'm going to leave the astrology reading for today. I am going to pull a quick crystal card. As I say that, I can see that I haven't actually got my book, so I also need to grab that as well. So let's see what we have crystal wise. Which is the crystal that most represents the energy? Here we go. Oh, we've got two flying out here. Most represents the energy of this new moon in Leo. We have fluorite. That's interesting. We have fluorite, which is number 16, and we actually have the 16 degrees of the Leo new moon is where it's taking place, and it is simplicity. And then we have number 4, which is apophyllite, which is gentleness. So the green looks like the heart chakra energy here. So I'm going to read 16 quickly, first of all. So let's have a look. I have actually read this one before as well. I remember reading this. So this is the crown chakra energy. And it's saying your desire is the first step from which new lifestyle can grow. A next step might be to sit down and make 2 lists side by side. One would contain the fundamentals you consider necessary for a fulfilled life. The other would include your current life activities and possessions. Does your life today support the life plan you would like to build for tomorrow? If the 2 lists are at odds with each other, consider how you can bring them into harmony. Make adjustments in your life based on what your heart tells you. Acknowledge the psychological overcrowding that you are forcing yourself to endure. This is a pollution of your spirit for which a decontamination may be required. To move from your jam-packed existence to one of simplicity, free yourself from the unfulfilling patterns that hold you back. The crown chakra is the place where ultimate simplicity and ultimate complexity coexist. This chakra holds universal wisdom to be used in physical incarnation. The ability to distill the many truths into the truth. Fluorite's purple energy assists the crown chakra by helping you see the larger picture beyond the clutter of your daily existence. A return to simplicity may require getting into a different environment to break the spell of the siren's call to routine, production and competition. A place of solitude would provide a conducive environment where you could quietly and mindfully face yourself and your life's questions. If this is impossible at this time, take time every day to meditate or find a quiet place out in nature to relax and think. Some people touch into that stillness while running or exercising. Discover where it is that you can quiet and center yourself to do your important inner work. So let's have a quick look at the apophyllite, which is gentleness. So, okay, I'll read it from here. Why is gentleness so often misunderstood? Many humans are reluctant to be gentle because they equate gentleness with weakness. Experience may have taught them that if they do not have a tough, hard exterior, others will take advantage of them. Your concerns have merit. Your world has become a cruel place. There are those who do not respect a gentle soul. What should you do if you are faced with their contempt? We suggest be who you are. You are not the stereotypic tough guy of your movies. You are a gentle angel with your feet planted upon Mother Earth. If you have lost touch with this part of yourself, you can reclaim it. It is not gone, only lying dormant. We work with the heart chakra to help you get reacquainted with the gentle self you may have felt you needed to suppress. Touch into your gentleness by putting a card or a piece of light green apophyllite against your heart. Feel the waves of gentleness sweep over your being. As you allow this sweet sensation to wash over you, you feel all tension and stress disappear. All the energy you have been using to protect yourself can now be used for other purposes. If some people abuse you for your gentleness, there are so many more who will love you for it. Your world needs gentling. Think of how good it feels when a kind friend touches you gently. It is just as soothing to have your spirit caressed in the same way. How can you become a gentle person? Allow your heart to open. A wave of love and benevolence will radiate from it that will reach into all parts of the universe. As with all energy, that which you send out comes back to you, boomerang style. And while it is on its trip, it touches all life with tenderness. Gentleness has, as its constant companions, tolerance, compassion, and generosity. Hate and fear cannot thrive where these virtues exist. Gentleness can heal planet Earth. So it says, honour yourself by making whatever changes are necessary to live a life full of love, respect, and joy. And I think it's kind of saying also to open up to that light, let it in, because there is a simplicity within that light as well. And it does relate to the higher conscious awareness. There, purple, the crown chakra energy. So I'm going to leave the reading there and say thank you very much for watching my video. If you have enjoyed it, if you have learned anything from it, or if you feel of any benefit from it, could you please thumbs it up and just like it for me, because it really does help to get it out into the bigger YouTube world. Still trying to get more subscribers as well. Again, I had 149 and it's gone back down to 148 again. I just don't seem to be able to get past that 149 to that 150 point yet. I haven't put any videos out for a while. Again, I must admit I have been quite busy doing other things. But if you haven't subscribed, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, please could you do so. This is the astrology part of my reading. I will be doing the new moon Leo tarot reading tomorrow during the time of the full moon as well. I like to do it while the moon is actually, the energies are actually taking place as much as I possibly can. So if you think that this will benefit anybody else, also please could you share it. Thank you very much to those of you who have liked, who have subscribed, and who have shared my videos. I really do appreciate it. There is a playlist for any of you who are wanting to find out more about my channel. Please feel free to do so. And I'm going to leave it there and say again, thank you very much, and have a amazing, amazing light-filled, love-filled Leo new moon with this 8/8 Lionsgate portal activation energy tomorrow. And hopefully I will see you again next time.